Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Welcome to Two Peas on a Pod, the podcast where we explore connection, friendship, and the relationships that shape who we are and who we're becoming. I'm Dr. Miriam Kermeyer, a clinical psychologist, friendship expert, and speaker on human connection and social support. Today's friends are the incredible Lise and Nicci Smith. You'll recognize them from the beloved Netflix series Love on the Spectrum. But what you may not know is that behind the cameras, they have built a remarkable friendship of their own. Today, we get to explore what it means to care deeply for someone without losing yourself in the process. We'll talk about the unexpected friendships that emerge through caregiving, the power and pitfalls of online communities, the importance of supporting the supporters, and why connection isn't just something we help other people find. It's something that we all deserve. Before we jump in, I have a small favor to ask. If someone came to mind just now while I was describing today's episode, maybe it's a friend who's a fellow parent or a caregiver, maybe it's a sibling or an educator, the person that you know who is always showing up for everyone else, go ahead and make sure that you share this episode with them. I have a feeling that they will feel deeply seen by today's conversation. And you never know what kind of meaningful conversations will happen when the two of you compare notes afterward. As always, make sure that you stick around until the very end of the episode because I will check back in with you with a few friendly reminders and a concrete next connection step, something that you can do to take today's episode into your own friendships. And with that, let's get into today's conversation. Our guests today prove that sometimes friendship begins with a shared last name, but it's the shared life experiences that make the bond stick. Lise Smith and Nicci Smith are two friends, advocates, podcasters, and mothers who connected through their experience of raising their sons. Connor and Tanner featured on Netflix's Love on the Spectrum. Together, they've turned their conversations and connection into a podcast, Talk To Me Sis, where honesty, humor, sisterhood takes center stage. We're excited to talk about friendship, motherhood, and the unexpected ways people find communities and support. Welcome to Two Peas on a Pod, Lise and Nicci.
Thank you. So good to be here.
Great to be here. Thank you. I love the name of your pod.
Really cute.
Oh, thank you for that. We love a good pea pun around here.
I'm all about a dad joke and a pun all day long.
Okay, I'm going to workshop some pea dad jokes in a minute here.
Yeah,
No, look, we just heard a little bit about the two of you, but I always like to kick things off by hearing about how the two of you met. So tell us a little bit about your original connection and your friendship origin story.
Well, obviously, Lise and I had the very unusual shared experience of having sons be on a Netflix reality show. And we do not get the opportunity to meet the other cast members or families before a season premieres and don't necessarily have the opportunity at all unless you take it, unless you go to some of the events and all that. So when season 2 premiered, we had not met each other at the time that the show came out. But when I watched season 2 for the first time and saw Lise and saw the way she interacted and saw the way she parented and saw her other children and just her overall family dynamic, I said right away, we're going to be friends. I was like, I need to seek her out. We would have a good time. We would click it off. We would have fun. So Lise, I think I DM'd you on Instagram, didn't I?
Yes, you did. And then we planned a meeting.
Yes, because Lise does not actually live that far from where Tanner lives. So we planned like a family lunch get together at the hotel restaurant where Tanner works.
That this was going to be my next question is, did you slide into the DMs? And yes, you did. And yes, that worked. It worked for making friends too, it turns out. Lise, what was your impression of Nicci when you received that message?
Nicci's is so sweet, and you're gonna see the personalities here. When I watched Tanner's storyline and I saw Nicci, she came on screen and I went, she is so pretty. Damn
Aw.
it, I thought I was gonna be the cute mom.
Oh
And
my
I looked
goodness.
at my kids and I go, oh, there's the cute mom title for this
No,
season. She
You,
just took,
you both get to share that
I was
honorary
gonna say
title.
absolutely not.
admittedly, a very shallow first reaction. But no, I thought, hey, obviously she was stunning, beautiful. But then I was just proof's always in the pudding to me, and just seeing who Tanner was as a person. And I just thought, that came from somebody. She raised him. And then when they flipped the camera to Nicci, and I heard her say, once I stopped trying to make Tanner somebody else and just loved him, I was like, God, this woman's kind of the total package. And I honestly didn't think to slide into her DMs because I always felt like everyone was so untouchable. But I was so glad when she did. And it's been history ever since that day. We haven't looked back.
Since that day, it didn't take any time at all. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that history. What happened after this first message, this decision to reach out and break the silos and the silence? How has your friendship evolved? What are some of the ways that you've built that connection over time?
We all met up and Lise brought her family and we all just had like a lunch date together. But sometimes you just meet people and you just have natural chemistry and like conversation is not hard. You feel like you realize you have all this common ground and I felt like the way we mother, the way we interact with our adult children, the family energy is very, very similar. And just I feel like Connor and Tanner are like mirrors of each other. Like, they're like the opposite ends.
The yin and the yang.
I mean, they're a black cat and golden retriever, and they're so fun together. They're the same age. They're very similar in their background, sort of in the trajectory of their autism and the way their childhood into teenage years played out. There's just so many commonalities and things we
Mhm.
experienced.
What are some of those shared experiences that you connected over early on? Either things that you revisited together and opened up about, and then a follow up to that also, what are some of the experiences that you have gone on to share together since meeting?
Obviously, we're two autism moms are wearing that T-shirt together. And I think what was so at first, I'll be honest, I was so starstruck when I met Nicci and Tanner at the hotel. I know that sounds odd. And then I remember thinking, because I am from the Northeast, I can be a little abrupt, direct, potty mouth at times. Nicci knows. And so I was actually like on my best behavior because they came across to me as like sweet, Southern, genteel family. But then we started talking about our experience as mothers and kind of really started talking about the boys' early diagnosis years. And I felt really safe telling her my truth was pain, shock,
Yeah.
distraught, disappointment, like the things that aren't cool to say out loud.
Right.
And I didn't feel judged. I felt so understood and seen by her in a way that people who aren't wearing the t-shirt can't see you. And
Mhm.
so we sort of aligned. That's how it happened for me. When I could align with her there, and she just validated me, shared her personal story. We tell it on her podcast, but you know, I felt, gosh, she's so real too. So it was nice to be able to connect and just see she wasn't just this cute Southern blonde, it was the real connection there. And then on the follow up, jumping on the Netflix adventure, what's also was just amazing to me was that you really know somebody or you really start to realize what your relationship can be when you have to travel. And I'm talking like a
Mm.
friend, a girl's weekend, or
Yes.
even with a new partner. When you have to travel together
Yeah.
and you fly and you do all the things, our first trip, I had a meltdown. I thought I lost my license and I dysregulated like a wild woman in front of my kids, the Uber driver, Nicci, and then I found my license. It was somewhere stupid and kind of embarrassingly. And you know what we did as a group? We turned it into a funny TikTok
Yeah.
Mm.
and we all kind of made fun of it and we owned and we let people vote like which one of us had a tantrum. She didn't judge me there. She supported me and then we all laughed about it. And then we just travel so well together.
Let's recap some of the potty mouth words that probably came out during that tantrum. Let's that little live reenactment. Cut to.
Where the fuck is my license?
There you go. It's interesting though, because that, is somewhat humorous example, or at least it didn't feel humorous at the moment, but you're able to turn it into this humorous connected moment. There's a similarity between that and what you shared just a moment ago, Lise, where you were sharing how helpful it was and how meaningful it was to be able to open up about some of the real feelings that you had experienced, about the challenges that you'd gone through in a very real way, and have that be not only tolerated, right, or accepted, but seen and supported and in some ways reciprocated. It sounds like that was certainly at the heart of this growing friendship early on. Not only are you sharing these nice experiences together, being on the road and having fun and connecting over this interesting, cool show, but there were also those moments of real life and real feelings. Nicci, what was your experience of not of the meltdown, but of the travel and of the early connection and of some of what you felt early on?
Another thing I think that really, I don't know, for me was a sure thing that we were really going to click. I feel very separate from Lise, very friendly with Lisa's adult children. Like my kids will text Lise outside of me, you know what I mean? And feel very auntish with her. And I think that's such a testament to just like when your children feel comfortable with another woman, friend of yours, it means there's, something very real and very connected there. And also, I've always said I gravitate towards women that I aspire to be like. Like if I look at my circle of friends, they're all beautiful. They're all stunning. They're all smart. They're all aggressive. They've all accomplished something in their life that's unusual. And all those things are true of Lise. So I think that's just like in me, I'm always pulled toward women that I would like to be more like. So, and there's a lot of about Lise. She's smart. She's resilient. She's fun. She's the life of the party. She's a quick mover. She's direct. She's all these wonderful things. And so I'm attracted to that. And I mean, I always like to put myself in a situation where I'm going to grow from the people that I'm around.
Wow. Thanks, Nicci.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
I'm trying to think back to the original air date of the show. When would it have been that you met? How many years ago?
January of 24. The show came out end of January, and it was about, 6 weeks later that we got together.
Okay. So just over 2 years ago at this point, and coming back to what you just said, which is so beautiful, I guess I'm wondering, what are some of the ways that over the course of your friendship, over the last 2.5 years, you have been able to grow from each other and learn from each other? What have you kind of absorbed and taken on from each other? Because I think that intentional decision to surround yourself with people and women that you admire is such an important one, because we are affected by the people that we spend time with.
What I love about Nicci is she runs such a tight, organized, well-oiled ship. She has a beautiful relationship with her kids. If her and her daughters are just this incredible trio. The men in that family are so lucky. They have 3 of truly the best women walking around on the planet. I mean, and they each bring their own flavor, but the matriarch of that is Nicci. Nicci is, I know she's one of the rare friends that I get up in the morning at 6 or something in the morning. I can text her and that girl is already doing something. She's checking emails. She's wiped her cooktop down. She's on her way to hot yoga or to do all her little gym stuff. She has this really perfect physique. And I really don't. 50 years old, she does. And I think that just shows her commitment and her drive. And so for me, I don't share that passion, but I do try to tap into it. And she's super organized and she's on her game. And I am trying to herd a kitten. I'm ADHD queen and I'm all around. So when I am with Nicci, I do try to pull from her. Okay, how would Nicci manage this situation? She's much more, she is very complimentary to me in that way that we do the podcast together. We were talking today. She's already got her friends sharing links and I'm like, oh God, I gotta get on this. She's on the social media. She's emailing. She's spearheading a group text. And I'm like, I want to be Nicci when I grow up.
And I will jump in and say and those things, I am like that. And in some ways, I think I'm a bold person, but Lisa's bold in a different way. Like Lisa's like fearless. Like she's been in sales. She's had I was a stay-at-home mom. Lisa's had a big career outside of the home for many, many years. And I told her right from the jump, I so admire that. I don't regret my life at all, but it does leave you with a void. Like when you did not work outside the home. I haven't been in the professional world. So jumping into all this with Tanner has been a huge leap for me. And I admire Lisa's boldness, her self confidence. I admire the fact that when she walks into a room, she owns it and she doesn't doubt herself. She's very magnetic. She walks in, you're going to see her, you're going to notice her. She's fun, she's vibrant. She's just a good time. And I'm like, and that inspires me to not doubt myself, to go, to be like, don't wait, just do it. Just freaking do it. And don't sit there and worry about it. Just do it. So it's a good thing, back and forth.
It's such a good thing. And it's so nice to hear both of you share such thoughtful and specific compliments about each other. And I think everyone listening, will not only have a smile on their face at this moment, but it's a helpful reminder that, again, it feels good to let our friends know what we appreciate about them. It's nice to reflect on that on a personal level. And it's also much more than just a moment of gratitude. I don't think this can be overemphasized, that bringing in that intentionality piece and thinking about, who do I want to surround myself with? Who do I want to spend time with? And what am I learning? What can I learn from the people that I choose to be around? We are impacted by the people that are around us, whether we like it or not. There is this, it's called social contagion, which is like a really lovely way of describing it, isn't it? but essentially, it's a communicable disease, right? But it can go both ways. When we surround ourselves with people who are engaging in particular ways of behaving, ways of relating to others, or who hold on to specific mood states, that can influence us even outside of our conscious awareness. And so I just love that this is a good reminder of paying attention to what you appreciate in people and how you want to bring more of that into your life, whether that means taking it on yourself or just bringing it into your life by being surrounded by it and appreciating that in the world.
Oh, I agree 100%. It's so important.
Are there changes that you have noticed in yourselves and in each other as you've been friends over the course of the last 2.5 years?
Oh, for sure. I feel like, I know for me, the last 2.5 years have been the most impactful outside of maybe actually having my children. Time in my life. I mean, probably except the 4 times I became a new mother to a new human. Other than that, I mean, I told somebody the other day, I've never been braver. I've never been bolder. I've never taken more chances. I've never tried more new things. I've never traveled more. I've never met more people than I have in the last 2 years. So in a lot of ways, I feel like a completely different person in many, many ways. And I feel like it has sharpened some things that were probably strengths that I didn't really realize were strengths. And then when I was put into this new life that we're in, I realized, oh, I am kind of a good multitasker. I can organize and classify and delegate and do pretty well. Like that's something that comes pretty naturally to me. It also brought out some real deficits, things that I'm like, oh, I really know nothing about that, or I really need to increase my knowledge or sharpen my skills. So yeah, I feel very different. What about you, Lise?
I think, Nikki and I also, this is bizarre. I think we're 3 months apart in age, ironically, too. Like I'm like a few months older than you. So you get to, let's say 54 years old, but when I met her, we were 52, early 50s. And I was rocking along in my career, just like a hamster on the wheel, doing the same thing. And then I met Nikki. We had this life-changing thing. And then as a friendship with Nikki, we started like our podcast, Talk To Me Sis. And it came really, Nikki drove that idea because, well, we were having a conversation about all the DMs we were getting from parents. And Nikki came up with, we should do a podcast. And I was talk about, bold Lise. I was terrified. And, you pulled me, and I remember sitting in a hotel in California with you in the lobby with our kids. And I remember getting emotional, starting to cry, saying, I feel like Nikki gave me permission, an idea, a platform to redefine who Lise Smith is going to be. Not a wife, not a mother, not somebody just running the grind, and opened this door I didn't even know I needed opening. And that's because I met her.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So now we're like redefining this. Who is Lise and Nicci sans Mark and Tony and all of our gazillions of kids and now sweet grandchild? Like, who are Lise and Nicci? We get to go off and do speaking engagements together as parents.
Mhm.
We are being big sisters. We get to put hair and makeup together and do a photo shoot together and be goofy and laugh. And it's not having to do with our kids. We're defining, and as a 50-something-year-old woman, to know and to be able to look at younger women and go, your life isn't over. It's
Right.
going to be a whole new turn. It's going to be so fun. And because it's freaking scary when your kids leave or get older and don't need you, and you start to sit there and go, what's my purpose? What's my purpose
Mm-hmm.
now?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You're
For sure.
Mhm.
menopausal, your body's kind of saying we're not having kids, your body's like peace out. And but no, it's not. No, it's not. And so getting this opportunity and having this complete stranger to me 3 years ago today, wouldn't they couldn't have picked her off the street, is somebody who showed me such a pivotal thing in my life and kicked open this new world. It's kind of
Mm.
cool.
It's felt very like meant to be. And like for Lisa and I think we both say like the lessons and the relationships and the connections that have come because of the show are so much more important and bigger than the show, if that makes sense. And I'm not at all taking away from the importance of Love on the Spectrum. It's a very important show, but the byproducts of it are just tremendous. And the trickle out of good things in both of our lives, I mean, has been incredible. And this friendship is at the top of that list. I mean, for sure, because it is. I mean, it's the podcast, it's our adult children. The husbands get along. I mean, like it's all of it.
Yeah.
It's been such a big thing.
There's so many cross connections. There's such a web of connection there that you are growing between your individual families, and I would imagine in terms of the conversations that you're having, as you said, with other families, with people who follow your podcast. Lise, I want to go back to something you said, which was that you were scared to start the podcast in a lot of ways. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that?
I was scared because, you take the rough with the smooth, and with being so exposed and being vulnerable and putting our families on a globally known show, there's some negativity that comes along with it. And for some reason, Nikki and I have had some of that come to us. And I think some of that, for all my boldness, being that exposed and having people, I felt like, do I want to expose us even further? Do I want to be
Mhm.
vulnerable to people who may abuse my vulnerability and come after me for it? And I think when I laid it all out in my mind and I pros and cons, the pros far outweighed. And Nikki and I say to ourselves all the time, if we've helped one caregiver, one mom,
Right.
one dad, one grandparent, then some of the mean things that come our way, they're worth it. And there's been times where I've been in that valley and really feeling bad, and Nikki's pulled me out, but vice versa.
Mhm.
Nikki went through a little valley, and she was like, I don't even feel like I want to post. I hope I'm not outing you here, Nikki. I don't even want to post on social media. And I was like, no, that's not you. That's not us. So when I'm down, it seems she can pull me out, and vice versa. But I was scared to be more vulnerable because we were really going to attack some personal stuff that were coming into the DMs. But it was Nikki was sort of more fearless in that situation. She's like, no, we can do this. Let's do it.
And it has it that it is such a precarious place to be because no matter what you say or how good your intentions are or how sincerely you come to any, in any venue or any activity, someone is not going to like what you say, or someone is going to misinterpret what you say and put their own spin on it. Someone is going to clip your words and take part of that sentence and part of that sentence and make it sound like something you didn't mean. And that has been something, it's been invaluable to go through those kinds of things with someone beside me. Because like you said, and it has worked out very, very well that like when things are a little harder for her, it feels like maybe I'm feeling a little stronger. And then when I'm feeling kind of weak and depleted, she's been in a stage where she's a little more energized and we can lift each other up because you really do need that when you're in this kind of a spotlight. Because neither one of us had ever experienced it before. And we're certainly not media trained. I mean, ever had a reason to be.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
here we are just kind of trying to like tiptoe through it and do a good job. And it's so wonderful to have somebody else who understands how you feel.
What are some of the most helpful ways that you have picked each other up over the course of your friendship in those periods where one of you was feeling a little bit lower or
I think
lonelier or
long
disconnected?
calls just
Yeah.
going on and on and on.
Yeah.
Somebody to listen, somebody to listen.
Reaching out, showing up, listening. I mean, I think what you said before was also really lovely. The kind of reminder of, I mean, I just love the simplicity of how you said it. This is not you, right? Like, let me remind you of what you really value. Let me remind you of what you might want to do differently in this situation that just feels so impossible to do right now. And let me help you do that.
For
Yeah,
sure.
just picking up the phone. A lot of times too, I'll get a text because Nikki runs the roads. I don't know how many miles are on that woman's car, but she constantly is like in the car for the next 3 hours if you want to talk. I mean, she's
Hmm.
always like, there's a lot of windshield time talking to each other. I'm like, I'm driving to South Carolina if you want to talk. And so, and it's funny because my kids will, I think Nikki's husband made a funny joke and it cracked me up. He said, I want to sneak into Nikki's phone and change my contact name to Lise so she'll pick
So I'll
up.
pick it up.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's a good prank.
He was
I
like, then
love
I
that.
know she would pick it up.
That's so funny. You're talking a little bit about shifting, not only changing names, but changing perspectives and changing stories and working through some of the fears and some of the different ways that you've both grown over the course of your friendship and since the launch of this show. I'm wondering if you can also speak to some of the ways that your sons have evolved and changed over the course of the show.
Oh, do you have 5 hours?
Sure,
Um,
happily.
I mean, honestly, there's so many things about Tanner because Tanner lives here where I am today in Clemson, and family home is about almost 3 hours away. So when Tanner is here in his little bubble in his apartment that's set up for him going to his job, he's doing an incredible job with independence, but he's also not really challenged outside of his norms, if that makes sense. I mean, he's doing an incredible job handling his independence here, but he also doesn't have to tackle a lot of new situations or deal with a lot of unfamiliar things. So being on the show, and it was obviously his first foray into dating, oh my gosh, it just opened up this world of new experiences. And Mark and I say all the time how grateful we are for it because we've seen the good and the bad. We've seen an unbelievable amount of potential and capability and skills that we had no idea he had or that he could do. And I don't know that we would have found them if we had just kept going in our normal patterns. But it has just blown my mind. He is resilient. He is so outgoing. He is so charismatic. The man can work a room.
Hmm.
I mean, has a little he has a little magic, we always say. He's got a little magic. And he doesn't really try that hard, but he just takes it with him. And it's just been a wild thing to watch. I really do feel like I have watched this happen to somebody else. Like I still don't totally believe that all that we've done in the last 2 years has actually happened. I look at it and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way we did that. But we've done it and he's done it. So it really has left me with this feeling of what can he not do? With the right supports, with the right scaffolding, with the right structure, and what could he not do? I really feel like he could do anything if we give him the right kind of support and back him up. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything he can't do.
It's so again so lovely to hear you talk about him and talk about your experience and his experience, and also when talking about your son and when talking about yourself earlier too, the growth mindset piece really just shines through, where it's, yeah, this is a little bit challenging and this is something I know I need to work on, right?
Yeah,
You said that earlier about yourself, and
oh, for
and
sure.
and and same thing for Tanner here, and I think that that's such a powerful mindset.
Yeah, you don't really ever have to stretch, when you're in your same routines, doing the same things. I mean, I had not done any public speaking. I believe we're at like engagement number 25, like I mean, it's just been a ton. And not saying that I'm masterful at it, but I am improving and he is
Yes.
improving. And I had done very little traveling just because we had a lake home near our home. We had a place that we went that wasn't that far away. We saw the same people, which was wonderful. Did the same things, but I didn't really ever have to navigate airports. I didn't have to arrange transport or book hotels, or this wasn't something I did very often in my life. It felt very foreign. Now it feels very familiar. I do it all the time. So it's just been real. I'm like, wow, you can learn when you're in your 50s. You can open a new chapter. You can wake up parts of your brain that were getting a little sleepy. And it's been the same for him.
And the idea that, you not only can you learn in putting yourself in unfamiliar situations, in perhaps uncomfortable situations, you can also learn more about yourself.
You can. And it's been very
Yeah.
uncomfortable, a lot of it, mostly in a good way. Like I tell people all the time, they're like, "Are you stressed? You're doing all this." I'm like, I am stressed because it is a lot, but it's good stress. It's growing stress. It's like lifting weights to me. It's like you put pressure on the muscle, you tear it, it looks better. You know, it's the same thing for me inwardly. Like what's been happening in my life. There's a lot of pressure on me, but it's the kind of pressure that's building me, not breaking me, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And I think it's actually a helpful reminder for everyone tuning in. And we talk about this a lot when we think about things like mental health and resilience, but the same is true of social health and interpersonal skills as well. And so one of the helpful reframes that's been talked about more and more recently is the idea that interpersonal competence and confidence, frankly, this is a skill that we can build. And it does feel a little bit uncomfortable to practice reaching out, to practice being more assertive, to practice engaging with people in a particular way, to put yourself in new social situations. And if you take that discomfort as a sign that you therefore shouldn't, or that you're doing something wrong, or that you're doing it wrong, then you are going to stay home. But if you go to the gym and, as you said, you lift weights and you feel sore, I mean, as long as you haven't terribly injured
Right.
yourself, right? The goal is not, oh, that feels a little uncomfortable, I should never do that again, right?
Right.
The idea is, oh, that makes sense. I'm working out a new muscle. I'm trying something new. What do I need to do? I need to keep doing that to
Keep
strengthen the
doing it,
muscle.
build it. Yep.
Yeah. Lise, what about you in terms of how you've seen your son grow over the last two
So
years, 2.5 years?
Connor's a 180 from who he was back before. I mean, the filming process was really hard for Connor. Connor doesn't have a big social battery. Connor was very introverted. He was working at a grocery store. He didn't have really any friends outside of our family. And it was, he lived a very, routined life, but within a large family. So he got social interaction with us in the family, and he got social interaction at work. He was a courtesy clerk, just doing the groceries and stuff and the carts. So that was his social. But then when he got home, he would retreat to a room, retreat to a screen, a TV, our dogs. Connor today is just almost unrecognizable. I think for me, him traveling, meeting new people, stretching his social battery. He still needs his breaks, but he can go into a room and speak to 500 people. I've watched him. And I'm
Amazing.
like, I'm shaking in my boots at the table, waiting, looking at this order of the program, and he's next. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. Like he's
I've got
just, and he
this.
gets up and and I'm like, did you always have that? Have you learned this? And then now, most proudly, he just helped pass legislation here in our state of Georgia. And from January to April, he spent a lot of time down at the state capitol, lobbying, meeting, testifying in front of the Senate, in front of the House of Representatives in Georgia. He was given a declaration by the governor. I mean, he's done a PSA about human trafficking with the First Lady of Georgia and the Mayor of Atlanta, because we're hosting FIFA World Cup. He is speaking out on TV just about, public safety for the neurodivergent community, human trafficking with the neurodivergent community, and standing in front of cameras and going on TV interviews with the utmost confidence and eloquence on the spot, that in the past, he barely would converse with people when he was packing their groceries. And I think we have opened up neural pathways in his brain for new activity by exposing him. And we've had dysregulation, we've had some moments of breakdown. So that's when I know, and I say this to him a lot, there's comfort zones. And
Yes.
Connor knows this word now. I call it optimal anxiety, because it's that part of the grid that he needs to go to. Now, once we get to dysregulation, we've pushed too far. We're going to come back down.
Yes.
Yep.
But
That's
he
such a
needs
good
to
word.
he needs to live in optimal anxiety, not every day. But I am a firm believer that me just being that little hand on his back that kind of backed off when he learned to ride a bike,
Yeah.
I'm blown away. He's a different man. And he physically looks more like a man to me than he did 2 years ago. I look at pictures because he's carrying himself more broadly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a completely different human being in my house.
Wow.
I'm always like, have we met? I'm your mom. Have we met?
And I'm sure he gives you the best of handshake in response to that.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connor's so impressive. I mean, like what he can
Mm.
do on the spot. I mean, he can reboot in front of a camera and come up with something beautiful and eloquent without practice, without being prompted. It's unreal. Unbelievable. I mean, I know very few people who can do what he can do.
It kind of blows me away too. So
Yeah, me
so it's been cool.
I mean, let me just say, this is also really nice. Before we pointed out the moment where you were both complimenting each other with such specificity and thoughtfulness, and it is so beautiful to hear you both do that about each other's children.
Oh, well,
as well.
we love,
Yes.
and they get confused all the time, which is, I think, just the similarity in the names and the way they sound, two
Yeah.
syllables. We get a lot of "good job, Connor," and they get a lot of "way to go,
Yeah.
Tanner," and we always just like take it.
Yeah,
Okay,
you just
whatever.
take it, pass it on. I want to ask you something. I mean, what would you hope that other people listening know, be it other youth, peers, parents of children with autism? What would you like other people to know about people living with autism and their experience of connection and friendship?
I would want people to know a couple of things. That, first of all, that word autism, and it's a thing right now in our neurodivergent autistic community. It's such a broad umbrella. There's so many different experiences within that, especially now that it feels like it's even getting bigger. So I think there's that. I think I'm going to steal Madison from the show's line. You've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So I think
Mm-hmm.
someone who's never been exposed to anybody neurodivergent or autistic, know that Connor presents different than Tanner presents different than someone who's non-speaking, who needs 24/7 care. So there's that. But the biggest thing is, do not discount their want, their need and wanting to connect and
Yes.
feel seen and be befriended. I always say the greatest thing that it came out of Love on the Spectrum for Connor was the platonic love of Tanner.
Mm.
So don't discount their need. And also how, and I say this too, because Connor was so overlooked for 4 years of his life, overlooked in the community. Nobody saw him, nobody called him, nobody texted him, nobody wanted to hang out with him. He has 1.6 million followers. Messages, I want to be your friend. I wish I could go to the movie with you. And my message there is, great, thank you. Thank you for the love for Connor. But Connor sat in this community for 24 years unseen. How many Connors are sitting next to you right now?
Yes.
Go find them. Go
Yeah.
find them. That's what I want people to know, and the young people to know. Start looking for the Connors and Tanners that you want to be friends with, because I promise you, they're sitting in your high school cafeteria, or they're on the playground in elementary school, or they're, walking home from middle school. They're there. Find them, and they're just as freaking cool.
They are. And I really wouldn't say anything any different. It's so true. I mean, it really is so true. I mean, they are longing for connection, for purpose, for identity, just the way everybody else is. And,
Mm-hmm.
the show has made it look cool and kind of trendy, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And they all have a unique gift. And I always feel like, the things that make all of them unique, they're so interesting. They're so interesting. Like they all have just, their own little set of behaviors or interests or habits or whatever they do. And they're fascinating people. So if everyone would look at it with that kind of a mindset, like what can I learn from this person? How can I see a different human experience from this person rather than, oh, they're different and
Mm-hmm.
that's scary or that's off-putting or that's whatever. It's not a negative. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well put. And I think everything that you've just shared there really does speak to, on the one hand, and we said this before, like the universality of social connection. We all need to be in connection with other people. We all need to be with people. We all want to feel seen by other people. And that is just a foundational, basic, core human need, no matter who we are.
Right.
And of course, the specifics vary in terms of our capacity, in terms of our social battery, in terms of our interests and who we will connect with and when and how we feel comfortable connecting. But to discount someone as to not being interested or open to connection or not needing connection, or to discount someone by saying, well, I'm not interested in befriending them or becoming friends with them or getting to know them, we're doing each other a major disservice
Yeah, I
in
agree.
doing so. Parenting can be incredibly isolating at times. And I wonder if you could speak a little bit more about your experience as mothers in terms of what you have learned from each other and how being able to support each other in just the experience of motherhood, what that's been like for you.
Well, one thing, Lise, I feel like sometimes Lise can talk to Tanner because
Mm,
Tanner's hard thing in life is he has very OCD tendencies, and he will get a tape playing in his head. And this is a side of him that very few people see. And he will get a tape playing in his head and has a really hard time turning the tape off. And when you live with that 24/7, it's really, really difficult to step back and see it and not get lost in trying to make it go away or fix it. It's been
mhm,
really good for me. Lisa's had some really brilliant ideas, like social stories and ways of approaching it when he's in one of those cycles, and been able to talk to him outside of me. And it's been wonderful because she can get through to him sometimes when mom can't. And so,
mhm,
I mean, that's been such a gift. You know what I mean? Like, just because sometimes she's like, well, have you thought about it like this? Maybe if you say this or give him this visual or give him this cue, he might be able to process his way through this. And it's worked.
mhm.
And it's helped me tremendously because, you can't always see the forest for the trees when you're in your own little valley with your kids, and you're
Oh,
so
yeah.
emotionally intertwined with your own children that you don't always see very clearly what's right in front of your face, you
I
know?
mean, listen, this is exactly why therapists have therapists and parenting experts turn to parenting experts, because it is one thing to give advice and it is quite another to
Yeah.
not only take your own advice, but be able to even see what advice will actually work for me here. What strategy haven't I tried? What can I tweak? It is very, very difficult.
Very
Absolutely. Yeah. Lise, what's a parenting tip or strategy or new perspective that you have gained from Nikki?
With Nikki, it's always so beautiful to see, and one of the things that I kind of tear out of her book is we each have 4 kids too, right? So,
Hmm.
but watching her and how she flawlessly just seems to be able to support each, and they're her and mine are they're each so different, same 2 parents, very different human beings. And just watching her flawlessly skip from like going watching her son Maverick do his shooting to taking Tanner here to being at a country concert with Midge. And she literally, it's saying this in a great positive way. Chameleons, like she can change shades and be what that child needs. And then watching her do it when she's in the group of them, I got invited to her older daughter's wedding. Our family got invited. It was hands down best wedding I ever went to. And just watching her just go, and she just effortlessly, so I try to emulate that a little bit better. She has such a cool relationship with her daughters.
Yeah.
And my daughter and I are close, but like I strive for like more of that connection with my daughter, like I see she has with hers. So just watching how she literally is what each kid needs, and it's kind of cool to watch. And I don't know
Hmm.
that I do that as well. I feel like I'm this mom, and I don't know, I want to be more of like when I see her change for each kid. I don't know if I'm communicating that properly.
No, I think you are. That adaptation piece is so it's so powerful because it allows you to, as you said, show up for what someone needs.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, Lisa. I think you do a really good job of it. I think you do a really good job. You
Maybe that's one of
multitask
those
a
things that
lot.
you can't see
Yes,
again through the
yes, yes.
trees.
But
Yeah.
but it is like the gift. And one thing I think that's been really funny is like the parallels in our kids. Like I feel like Taylor and Anna have a lot of similar traits. Ben and Maverick have a lot of similar traits.
Midge
Obviously,
and
kind
Jack.
of Mitch and Jack. Oh my God, Mitch and Jack, watch out!
We just need to get bail money ready, I think. That's
And a whole lot of energy. Be ready.
yes.
And, it's very interesting though.
I have a question for both of you, actually. One of the parenting habits and almost traps that people fall into, and I think we can all relate to this on some level, and one of the traps that people fall into in their friendships is often the comparison trap.
Mhm.
And this isn't often from a place of one-upmanship. It's also an attempt at trying to gauge, okay, how am I doing? How is my child doing? Where
Yeah.
are they? Where should they be? Are they falling behind? Are they ahead? What does that say about them? And sometimes that comes from a place of wanting, obviously, to get our children the resources and support that they need, or wanting to shift and adapt our approach as parents. And sometimes it also does relate to inner feelings of like worth and am I doing a good enough job? And so I'm wondering if you can both speak to this, if you have anything to share about that comparison experience, whether that's something that you've ever experienced in your friendship with each other, whether that's something you've ever experienced in your own life as a parent, or whether that's something you've noticed from other friends in connecting with them about your children and parenting experiences.
That's funny that you bring that up because that's a big, like, hot button for me is the negative side to me of comparing yourself to anyone because I grew up extremely insecure. I had zero sense of self, very low self-esteem, had no idea who I was. I just felt very like I was supposed to adhere to a certain mold. I was the fourth of four girls.
Mm.
Did not feel like I measured up to my sisters. Grew up with a lot, I think, a lot of unspoken competitiveness that was unhealthy in friendships and family relationships. And I have spent like a lifetime. And like I said, I feel like I gravitate toward women who I find powerful. And I gravitate toward women who I feel like are going to pull me up and challenge me, like out of that, to get out of that. And so I really feel like I'd make a conscious effort to not compare. Only if it's like in the measure of like, I have a friend of mine that I work out with like almost daily. And I one the thing I think I treasure most about our relationship is that we have this really healthy peer pressure on each other, but it's never comparing. I
Yeah.
never look at her and think, oh, I'm not as pretty as she is. I'm not this, I'm not that. I just think, dang, she is a fit freaking powerhouse of a woman. And I want to be like that. And I feel like I do that for her. And we drive each other to be a little bit more. And I feel that way with Lise. I mean, I feel like Lise is running a big ship. She is beautiful. She is smart. She is fearless. She is going to do all these things. I never really, I don't know. I try really hard
Hmm.
not to compare. I think what's cool in a female friendship is the different things that you bring to the table. I
Yes.
think that's what's cool. I mean, like we
Hmm.
look different, we show up a little differently. And I think that's what makes us cool as a duo because you get a little different flair from both of us, but it's kind of similar.
And I think this idea of being mindful that that is a friendship experience that doesn't feel good and that certainly doesn't drive both kind of inner peace and well-being or connection with
It
somebody else,
doesn't.
that's a
And I think I
really
should clarify,
helpful
I think
reminder.
I grew up like all through my teenage years, always inwardly, not like outwardly in a mean way, but inwardly comparing myself to my friends and finding myself coming up short and was
Yes.
in a constant state of negative. I should have put like a negative self talk and always thinking that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't this, I wasn't that. And it took me a long time and a lot of growth. And honestly, being married to a really confident man and a man who really built me up to see, wow, I'm my own worst enemy. And
Mhm.
like what I need to do. And I feel like the more you pour into other women and tell them you're smart, you're great, you're beautiful, I think you're so cool, I think you're awesome, they're going to give you that back. Like whatever you put into them, they're going to give it back. And I don't know, I just for me it's like so important to not compare in a way that you turn it on yourself. If that
Yeah. Yeah,
makes
absolutely. No, I think that very often that comparison piece, that competitive piece, can come from a place of scarcity, of a scarcity mindset of, oh, if somebody else is better in this particular dimension, if they're doing better in this particular way, then that necessarily means that I am behind, that I'm falling behind. And so part of what I think might be happening there is when we are able to push through the discomfort or almost that like reflexive tendency to compare and pour into others and be very giving and be a cheerleader, it also then challenges some of those beliefs in action. It's not just air quotes here, just the self talk of, I'm great. I don't need to be so hard on myself. It also is proving to you in the moment, oh, I can be a cheerleader for other people. And this doesn't hold me back in the way that I fear, in the way that that belief that once upon a time cemented itself for a particular reason, it might no longer be true. And that there's a lot of power in action. I think that actually ties in with what we were talking about earlier, too, in terms of pushing through some of the social discomfort, right? The best way to change our beliefs about what we're capable of is sometimes to do the thing. To do the thing that scares you, or to do the opposite action, we call it, to do the thing that that doesn't feel like the natural response in that moment, the thing that isn't driven by fear. Lisa, anything that you want to add there about the comparison piece? I mean, we spoke a little bit about comparing friends. I'm also wondering about comparing children too, because that's another level at which this can play out.
When I was a younger parent and having a child who was diagnosed with a disability, I did a lot of comparing. And I actually have a very close friend in Texas, and our sons were 1 month apart. And then she went on, and we had kids at the same kind of step ladder point apart from each other. And I kind of sadly, kind of when Connor got diagnosed at 5 and through elementary, middle, we remained friends. But I lessened my communication with her because every time Luke met a milestone, that's her son who is neurotypical, I found, and this is selfish, and I'm not proud to admit this today, I was so sad. I was jealous.
Same.
And it felt like a stab in the heart. So I think I wish I could be more like Nicci in this way. But when I was a younger parent raising Connor, it was so hard. I kept seeing kids go past him. And when my twins when they got to drive and he didn't, when the youngers, because Connor's my oldest, when the youngers exceeded him in social and just development and moving out, every time was a stab and a thing. And I have learned as a mother now, I mean, it took Connor's evolution, to be honest, which is in the last couple of years, for me to go, everybody's on their own road, stop. But I shamefully will admit, especially with Connor, I compared him to his siblings. And again, the one friend that we were friends, our kids were babies, and then Connor got diagnosed and Luke didn't. I just felt this. Luke had a girlfriend. Luke went to prom. Luke was on the basketball team. And every time I was like, I kind of want, I don't know if we can swear, but I was like, fuck it. I don't want to hear about Luke anymore. I don't like, and I love Luke and I love my friend. And it brought out such an ugly side to me. And now, here we are now, and we are such good friends. Luke and Tiff are the biggest champions, fans of Connor, proud to call him one of theirs. I mean, and I'm like, they're better people than me because they're not comparing. But I'll admit, I struggled with it when I was raising Connor.
Oh, I did too. And that was where a lot of the lessons, I mean, because it's a lonely, barren, undefined place to be. It's hard. I mean, it sucks. Everything that you wanted for that kid, everybody else is getting seemingly without trying. And there you are trying 500% harder than everybody else with all the extra things that you're doing and still not getting the result that everybody else is getting effortlessly. That was a horrible season for me too, inwardly. I was definitely not vibrating at my highest energy during those years internally at all. I mean, it was tough. And I think, that's where a lot of this self-discovery came. I was poisoning myself. I really was.
I wonder if also part of the challenge with how we talk about things like social comparison, like some of those feelings of envy or jealousy, is that the discourse around that is kind of, oh, we shouldn't feel that. We just shouldn't feel that. And so the right thing to do is just don't do that. Don't do that. Don't feel that. And first of all, if only, right? If only we could just tell ourselves, don't feel that. I mean, and everybody who's ever been told, don't feel so angry, right? Don't be so angry. I mean, as if that ever works, right? So why do we expect that to work for another emotion, right? And I also wonder, part of the challenge is, and I'm speaking here personally too, in moments where I have noticed myself doing more of that comparison piece, it's also that piece of, well, okay, but what else am I feeling here, right? Yeah. Because it's one thing to say, don't feel that, but also, what else are you feeling? And very often there are those feelings of, yes, sadness, grief, longing, anxiety, fear, loneliness, right? And so when it's so narrowly focused on one emotion and the solution is just don't feel that, I mean, we are tampering so much of the human experience that really does need and deserve an outlet. So thank you for being so honest about what you've felt and how you've also worked through that and what has helped you to work through that.
I just think I think it came with maturity, and I think it came with kind of starting to just appreciate Connor's milestones for Connor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that came, I think, from my meeting my second husband, my current husband. I only had two. My current husband, and him, he does this thing. He's a very competitive man, and he plays a lot of sports, and he works out a lot. But he's always like, when I try to go to the gym with him, and I'm trying to do whatever, and he's like, "It's you against you." And he always
Yeah.
tells me that it's you against you. I'm playing golf with a group of men, but it's me against me. And he has this mindset. And I think that influence helped me stop some of this. It's Connor against Connor. And Connor's
Mm-hmm.
making his mouth. So stop. So I think if there's something prescriptive here that helped me, maybe that will help a listener. It's you against you.
Absolutely.
And maybe that
Yeah.
will help.
And
Yes.
it's sad to me, like how, and maybe a younger person will get like, you just have to live a while and kind of watch life play out before you kind of, and I wish I could have had this in my head when I was 38, when I was 42, when I was 46. But now that I have watched my other three children navigate into early adulthood, the things that I used to grieve for Tanner, now I'm like, you know what? Him having a unique path that isn't necessarily the typical path most people follow is not necessarily a bad thing. It,
Yes.
it is not
Yes.
necessarily normal life in always what it's cracked up to be. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a lot of
Yes.
hurdles to jump. There's a lot of difficult things. There's a lot of struggle and sadness, and his path looks different, and that's not
Yes.
bad. And
No.
it just took a long time to get there. It took a long time.
It isn't just a matter of taking a step back and looking at, sure, those feelings of envy or jealousy or the comparison piece and widen that out to the other emotions. It's also, how can I, sure, make space for the difficult feelings that are there and also take a step back so I can see everything else that exists, right? The curiosity, the joy, the delightful unexpectedness of it all, and the opportunities that can come from just a different life experience, a different path, a different trajectory. And certainly, love on the spectrum is one of those incredible opportunities that has come into your life and that has come into all of ours as well, because the representation that it brings, the stories that it shares, and the community that it has facilitated and that you are not only a part of, but that you are actively working to grow through your work, your advocacy, and your podcast. It's just something so powerful and important.
Really is. It's been amazing.
Has there been a moment for both of you where you realized, okay, wow, this show, this community is so much bigger than we realized? Is there kind of one moment that you pinpoint to?
Oh yeah. In good and bad ways, wouldn't you say, Lise?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes.
and I feel like it's been equally shocking on both fronts. Like it has blown my mind on the good front, like the reach that these boys have. And I don't always realize it. Like, you'll go places and people recognize them in an airport across the country. And I'm like, I can't believe they know who he is. I mean, that sounds so silly because obviously social media is everywhere and Netflix is everywhere, but it's still because our day to day life is no different. We're just doing the same things. And it doesn't feel like it should be like that. It's a very odd, like watching yourself from the outside in kind of feeling like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I want to say, like, for me, talk about the reach. Connor and I recently were in Ireland. We'd left our hotel. We wanted to hear some traditional Irish music, and we were in a pub down some street in Limerick, Ireland, of all places. And we were in this little tiny pub down the side street, and we had dinner. We had a wonderful time taking pictures. We leave the pub to get into the taxi cab, and 6 Irish 20-something-year-olds are yelling, Connor, Connor. And they want pictures. And I'm like, we are in Limerick, Ireland, but we are from Podunk, Georgia. And these
Yeah.
6 beautiful Irish 20-something-year-olds enjoying their evening out are chasing down my son. And then secondly, this past weekend, I went on a Father's Day hike with my husband and his daughter. We are in the middle of a mountain. I'm 3-mile hike up this mountain, middle of the trail. And we're walking, and this girl goes by, and she turns the bend, and she goes, "Are you Connor's mom?" And I'm like, "I'm in the woods." Like,
Yeah.
so that's when we have the, "Are you
Crazy.
joking?" Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy.
How wonderful to have each other in this experience and to be able to show up for and support each other in that and to really make each other feel seen. Because it's one thing to be recognized on a trail in the grocery store, right? Even when that does feel like a delightful surprise, it's another thing to have someone not only recognize you, but to see you. And I
Yeah.
hear that come through loud and clear in the conversation that you're having with us today, that you were able to do that for each other, which is really beautiful. Before we end our time together, we have one little fun speed round of a game called Snap Peas,
Okay.
where I have a few rapid fire questions just about all things friendship. You ready for this?
Ready.
Who is most likely to answer a text faster?
Nikki.
Yeah, me.
Okay. Which son is most likely to accidentally spill family secrets?
Connor.
Most likely to accidentally spill family secrets. I think equal.
Yeah, and Connor, we have to talk about family business.
If your friendship had a group chat name, what would it be?
Divas.
Divas?
Divas.
Amazing. If Love on the Spectrum called tomorrow wanting a road trip special, who's packing first?
Nikki.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your go-to road trip snack?
Pretzels.
I like cashews. Is that weird?
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever given each other?
I was almost more like, I don't know if it's advice as much as like encouragement. Like, you've got this, you can do it. Don't stop, keep going. You're smart. I feel like more than a specific piece of advice.
That cheerleading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like it's, for me, the best piece of advice with Nikki is we really do try to coach each other up, but with the haters online, when she's like, don't read it, don't read it. And we even kind of
Mhm.
made a pact where if we saw something about the other, yeah, we wouldn't tell, but don't read it, don't look at it. That,
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. With difficult things, we have fielded for each other a lot. Yeah.
I think that that's really important advice for people to hear because not everyone has to deal with online haters or trolls
Ugh.
or uncomfortable comments.
And it's not fun.
But and it's not fun. I think that's probably an understatement, right? I think everyone listening can have some level of appreciation for how harmful that must be on so many levels. And we can also relate to the experience of having a friend come to us and tell us, hey, so and so is talking about you behind your back. Oh, this person said this about you. And one of the things that can be really helpful in friendships is to have a frank discussion about that kind of a boundary that you might want to have with each other. Listen, I don't necessarily want to know when somebody has said something hurtful about me. I know you coming to me that you think that's you supporting me. Actually, that doesn't feel good because there's nothing that I can do about it. There's nothing that I want to do about it.
We've had that exact talk because we've always been like, kind of look at it. Is there actually something she could do about it or should do or needs to do about it? Because if there isn't, don't even tell me.
Before we wrap up, one question that I have for you. What do you hope your sons and your children have learned about friendship by watching the two of you?
Oh my gosh, that some of the best ones are going to show up unexpectedly in your life. Be looking for it, grab it when you get it, and take it all the way. Like, because I feel like we have done that. Like, we connected, we had great chemistry, and we just went. We took the ball and we started running.
Yeah.
And we've got a podcast. We have traveled all over the world together. And even like, I think it's really like Tanner was not on season 4, Connor was, but that hasn't changed a thing. That was honestly like one of my biggest fears when Tanner was not going to be on season 4. I was like, oh, all these, natural reasons for us to be together. But the friendship was solid. Whether or not we were both having children on the same show, we're still going to find reasons to be together, to do together, to put each other in our lives.
My advice for my kids would be, don't be closed and be afraid to be open. Don't be, like if I was a closed off person at, 50 something, like, oh, I've got enough friends in my life.
Right.
Or just stay open because you never know who's going to come around the corner. And you know what? Yeah, being open. This is the joke in my family. Like I throw out my fishing net and I bring everything into the boat. I mean, I've got the fish head, I've got the tire, I've got the boot, but sometimes there's a really good fish in there. And that's not how everyone operates. And I'm not saying everyone should operate, but I choose to stay open. And if I get hurt, It's because I was at least vulnerable enough and I had a real experience and that didn't
Mhm.
work out and then I need to move on. But look at the catch of the day I got over there because I stayed
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
So stay open and don't be afraid. Getting hurt just means you're living.
That's right.
And in terms of staying open from learning from others, what have you learned from your sons about friendship?
I've learned loyalty. Connor is as loyal as the day is long and he is just so caring and trustworthy. Like I know when Tanner's had a hard time, he's like, "Hey, bud," like he wants to get on the phone. He is such a loyal friend. He has such clear, beautiful lanes of loyalty and friendship and how someone should be treated. And that's really cool to
That's
watch.
the beauty in both of them. And I was going to say, like, purity of heart. Like, I just see such purity of heart. Neither one of them has any manipulation. They don't use anybody for anything. They say
I
what
don't
they really
lie.
feel. They don't lie. They're not trying to get anything from their friends. It's just pure. I mean, that's like the best word I can come up
Yeah. Well, and speaking of words and appropriate words, if you had to describe your friendship with each other in one word, what word would that be? We'll do it on the count of 3. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
with. Powerful.
Solid.
Powerful, solid.
I like that.
Absolutely. Love
Okay.
that. Lise, Nicci, thank you so much for joining us on Two Peas on a Pod today. This was such a meaningful conversation.
Yes, this was great.
Amazing.
So,
I normally don't like peas, but this was amazing.
Yeah.
yeah,
You don't like peas.
I pick them out.
that's so funny. Oh my gosh. No, this was great. Thank you, Miriam, very
Thanks,
much.
Miriam.
Thank you. Okay, this episode was such a delightful surprise. Truth be told, I already had such warm feelings about both Lisa and Nicci from watching the way they love their sons and families on Love on the Spectrum. But what I didn't expect was to become such a fan of their friendship. And one of the things that stayed with me most was how much appreciation they have for each other. Not just admiration from afar, but the kind of appreciation that says, I genuinely want good things for you. And your growth doesn't threaten mine, and your success doesn't diminish mine. One of the biggest barriers to connection is comparison. Whether we're comparing ourselves, our careers, our relationships, parenting practices, or even our children, comparison can quietly convince us that someone else's progress somehow says something about our own potential. And this can come from so many different places: feelings of insecurity, scarcity mindset. In some cases, it's just how we've been taught to connect by comparing ourselves internally or even in our conversations. That type of self debasement or self deprecation, it can be present despite a desire to connect. I know this all too well as a Canadian who is indeed a little too prone to apologizing. But Lisa and Nicci modeled something really important in today's conversation. They celebrate each other's wins. They speak openly about what they admire and appreciate in one another. And maybe most importantly, their friendship really seemed to deepen once they stopped seeing each other as just the other mother on this show or someone to look up to and admire from a distance, and instead started allowing themselves to see each other as whole people. Not perfect, just human. And that aspect of their connection reminded me about something I often think about when it comes to friendship as a whole: that the healthiest friendships are built on admiration, not adulation. Sometimes we inadvertently create distance by putting other people on pedestals or by putting ourselves down in the process. And yet, the closest to friendships are built by recognizing the ways that we can actually mutually influence each other. But to do that, you need to let yourself be impressed, to be influenced, to let yourself admire someone and, yes, of course, build them up and cheer them on without feeling diminished yourself. You need to believe that surrounding yourself with remarkable people doesn't actually make you smaller. It gives you more room to grow. And you have to believe that you also have unique special qualities that your friends are likewise benefiting, learning, and growing from. There's this concept I love called shine theory, and this was really created by Anne Freeman and Aminatou Sow in their wonderful book, Big Friendship. The basic idea is simple: I don't shine if you don't shine. I had the chance to talk with them about some of the psychology behind friendship for this book, and I still find myself coming back to shine theory all the time. The people that we intentionally surround ourselves with can expand our sense of what's possible, not only for them, but for us, because friendship embodies this idea so beautifully. And this brings me to your next connection step into your friendships. So this week, I want you to tell a friend something that you admire about them. We've talked about gratitude a lot, but this is a little different because this isn't just a compliment about what they have or have done. It's not a quick, you're amazing or you're the best. Of course, those messages can carry weight too. But what I want you to do is to be very specific. Be specific and share what you admire about them. And importantly, the impact that they have had on you. To be open about a quality that you genuinely hope rubs off on you, or maybe something that you have. To be open and tell them, to tell them about a quality that you genuinely hope rubs off on you. Maybe something that has already impacted you in your life and the way that you move about the world. Maybe it's being a little bit braver or more courageous thanks to them. Maybe it's becoming a little bit more patient or leaning into your creativity. Maybe it's the way that they always make people feel so welcome when they step into a space or welcome people into their own home. Or the way that they seem to know exactly what someone needs to hear. And sometimes that means just sitting in silence. And so what I want you to do is to let your friend know the way that they have impacted you, to be open about the things that you admire and appreciate in them. And this is an important tag along, to take one step further and to take a moment to think about the ways that you have positively influenced a friend in your life. What is something that you have done that you notice your friends picking up on? Something that they have commented on or mentioned that they appreciate. Take a little moment to notice that, to maybe jot it down on a piece of paper or in a journal or just on your phone. Give that some space. Because when we can do this, it not only helps us feel closer, it helps people understand the impact that they are having and the impact that you're having on the world and the people around you. And so here is your friendly reminder. The people that you admire, they are not your competition. They are often your invitation to grow, to stay open, to keep learning, and to become a little bit more of the person that you're capable of being, to take yet another connection step toward the person that you are always becoming. Because the best friendships don't ask us to be less of ourselves. They help us become more ourselves. And that, my friends, is our episode for today. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me on Two Peas on a Pod, and I will be right back here with you with another episode next week. In the meantime, let's stay connected. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. One of the big ways that you can support our show is to take 5 seconds out of your day and to go rate the show 5 stars. And make sure that you come say hello and follow along at the Two Peas on a Pod and at Miriam Kermeyer across social channels. And yeah, if someone came to mind while you were listening today, a parent, a caregiver, that friend who's always showing up for everyone else, I would love for you to share this episode with them. Until our next catch up, take care of yourself and the people in your pod, and I will see you back here next week. Two Peas on a Pod is hosted by Dr. Miriam Kermeyer. Executive produced by Zoe Travis, Matthew Hoffman, Katya Kaminsky, and Dr. Miriam Kermeyer. Produced and edited by Podcast Nation. Producers, Madison Britt and Alicia Paneer. Audio engineer, Miles Carter. Original music by Sarah Walk. Created by Zoe Travis and Matthew Hoffman. Two Peas on a Pod is recorded in Montreal and Los Angeles. Today's program contains information that is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This program is not a substitute for psychological or medical advice. Please seek out your own support and research as needed. Take care, friends.